Thank you for joining us. This is TechWorks NC Series Nurse Call System Technical Training Part 2. I am Mark Dundas, and I will be your host. This is a four-part series of technical training to assist in design and installation of our TechWorks Nurse Call. And we assume a basic understanding of nurse call. We shouldn't have to explain what a nurse call is. As I said, this is part 2 of a four-part series. This will cover the parts and pieces of the system, all the components. There is a presentation handout available online if you'd like to get that and follow along, make notes. There will also be certification offered at the end of these sessions. Let's talk about the dome light. The NC dome light is the unique part of this system. It's a heart and soul. So this diagram over here shows what is happening. This is input number 1, and this is station input number 2. And these are the 4 wires that go out to these stations. The point being that there's not a lot of things that are needed to be able to talk to one of our dome lights. Those screw terminals where the stations hook up are just simple contact closures. They're literally buttons out there. There's a little circuitry to control the light, but that's all. Most of the stuff that's going on is inside of that dome light, and there's a lot going on in there. There's tone units, there's buffers for the light, there's logic controlling what drives the light, and then there's the current loop, which sends the signal out to the control module. So all of the signals coming out of here, whether they're an emergency call, an end call, a cancel, whatever, is all sent down a single conductor. And we'll talk more about that, but that's kind of the magic of this thing. This dome light's got all kinds of stuff going on, including its own built-in flash clock. So it allows it to stand alone. It can be monitored by the control module for integrity to make sure that the wire is there and hooked up and the dome light is working. Doesn't have to be, but it can be. This allows the NC series system to operate on old existing wire. You might not have to rewire the building, but if you're in a new installation and you want to run modern CAT series cable, you can. So all of this simplifies station design to be just a contact closure. The other part about this dome light that is really unique is that acrylic lens out there that makes it big and bright. It's a big piece of acrylic that deflects the light in a big pattern, very bright, very full color, easy to see. Let's talk about these. So we make a few different models. The first model we're going to talk about is the NCDL12. That stands for Nurse Call Dome Light, 1 color, 2 input. So we make one that's red, one that's white, and one that's blue. So the first suffix letter is the color. So if this were an NCDL12R, that means it's red. If it's a -W, it's white. If it's a -B, it's blue. The next letter on the part number is a screw terminal. That means on the back of this device, we've installed these screw terminals for old style wiring. We make a version of this dome light without that option, which is just a color and the C, which stands for the CAT connector. So we do not include the tone. We don't include the screw terminals. All we include is the CAT when you see the color and a C. But if it's got the SCT, it's got the screw terminals, the CAT connector, and a built-in tone unit, which means you also have this dip switch. This dip switch does the configuration as to how this dome light's going to function. Is it going to be standalone? Is it going to be hooked to a control module? Is it going to be a zone light? So there's lots of things this dome light can do. It's got a lot of places in the system. We'll talk more about that. We also make 2 color. So again, nurse call dome light, 2-2 means 2 color, 2 input. And again, the first letter is the color that's on top. Second color is the color that's on the bottom. So we make the red, white. Let's talk about the red, white. It's the older of the 2 color dome lights. It comes with the screw terminals and the CAT connector. So All of this comes on the back. There's no options to order. Then you get into the code blue. These code blue took a little different circuitry to meet the requirement and have a different signaling and guaranteed code blue functionality. So what we did is we took the old purpose wiring terminals off, and we made this screw terminal on the back of these two code blue dome lights a zone light input. So you can run this as a two-color zone light. So this one has the wiring for old systems. That's the NCDL22RW, old style systems, but it can't be a zone light. The NCDL22C code blue version has the zone light inputs and all the code blue connectivity, but it only has the Cat5, Cat6 connector on the back. Okay. Input devices. We make the NC CBAS, which means it's got a code blue and a staff assist on a single station. Single gang plate, both a help and a code blue, as well as your cancel button. We also make a simple code blue button for those that don't want the staff assist. It's just a code blue and a cancel. We also make a code blue kick plate. This is only a contact closure that can be put down at floor level or at a level that's different than a standard switch or button height, so that if their hands are dirty or they can't touch anything, they can kick a code blue to call for help. This, however, requires a cancel station to talk to the control module and the dome light. So again, it's a two-button station split in half, if you will. The code blue button is down at the floor. The cancel button is up on the wall with the call confirmation light. So if you kick this station, the cancel light is going to light up on the wall to identify the station that needs to be canceled. Okay? Let's talk about some more input devices. This is our NCEPS, emergency pull station. This is both a push for help and a pull for help. This is a single type of call. This isn't two calls. This is just an emergency call from this station. But you can either push for help or pull for help. Pull string is a hygienicord, antimicrobial, cleanable string, which is not infectious to bacteria, virus. It can't live on it. In other words, it's non-porous, it's easy to clean, et cetera, et cetera. Any of these stations, the ones on the previous slide or this, all have this cancel button. They are lighted with a call acknowledge light to tell whoever placed the call that their call is active. This also functions to tell staff if there's multiple pull strings in parallel, let's say in a public restroom. This light tells the staff which pull string was activated, okay? So if you got three of these in parallel, only the one that pulled the string or pushed the button will be lighted. The dome light will light for any of them, but the one that pulled the string will be the one that's active. That way you know which one needs to be canceled, okay? We also make the NCPBS1, which is a single bed station. Now, what's unique about this is we give you the quarter phone jack for a normal call from the bed cord, but we also give you a staff assist button built in. So this is a two-level call station. You have a normal call from the jack and an emergency call from the button, okay? Again, the lighted cancel button. We also make this in a version for code blue. So what we found is in day surgery, especially the post-op beds, they like having a code blue button next to the post-op bed in case something goes wrong post-surgery. That way the staff can reach over and conveniently push code blue, which then someone outside of the area is supposed to dial 911 to get an ambulance on the way. Again, the quarter phone jack is exactly the same. This is a normal call. Code blue places a code blue call. This places a staff assist call. So a couple of choices. We also make the NCPBS2, which is for semi-private rooms in assisted living, where you might have an older style system that needs a cost-effective solution. This is a 2-jack, 2-bed with no other level of call. So it's only 2 normal calls. There is no staff assist on this station. We make 2 versions of the call cord available. One is the single call cord, 7 feet long with a quarter phone jack. The other is a Y cord with 2 12-foot cords. This is to accommodate 2 beds off of a single jack, or you can have a 2-bed station with 2 of the single cords. More input devices. We also make the NCSAS Staff Assist Station, which again is just a simple push for help with a cancel. Then we make the SPS, which is a staff presence. So you got the staff assist and a lighted staff assist or staff location button with the lighted cancel. All of these stations come with a lighted call confirmation under the cancel button. Okay. We also make the VP series, and this is a vandal-proof bed station. You may say, well, vandal-proof, that's mental health. Yes, it is. It's meant for mental health and institutional applications like detention. You may say, well, that can't have a call cord. I was amazed too, but they do want call cords in some of these applications. I don't understand why. So we also make the VPSAS, which is the exact same thing, but without the jack. This has just a call button on the bottom and the lighted cancel button on top. No call cord, no jack, totally anti-ligature. We also make the NCVPSAS-RC, which is remote cancelable. Sometimes they don't want the cancel button inside of the patient room in mental health. They want the call button in the room, and they want a separate cancel button outside of the room. That cancel can also be done by a vandal-proof key switch if that is desired. These are all 1069 listed nurse call products. Output devices. We make a couple of standard light enunciators. These are all LEDs behind a panel that you can label easily. Very easy to create your own labeling in a standard printer. 16 points correspond to 16 points on a control module. So these first 4 are 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, and 13 through 16. This is the same as the inputs on a 16-point control module, which we'll talk about in a minute. We also make the NCAN32 CT, meaning code blue, and tone. Both of these have code blue signaling and tone. So there's 3 levels of signal. There's a steady lamp for a normal call, flashing lamp for an emergency call, and a super fast flashing with a super fast tone for code blue. This is a 32-point enunciator, which means that the first 4 columns, or 16 lights, are associated with one control module, and the second or right-hand set of 16 lights is associated with a second control module. So you can display up to 32 points, 32 dome lights. We also make the NCSDS, which is a staff duty station. It's a tone only with a visual. In other words, whenever there's a call on a system and the zone output is active, the light behind the silence button is on, but the tone sounds whenever a new call comes in or if the station has been reset. So it will automatically reset when calls are all cleared. If it's beeping and irritating, someone can push the silence button. It will silence the tone, but it won't turn off the light. So let's talk about the control module. It's wall mounted, comes with a metal cover. This is a chase on either side for your wires. So this cover covers the entire unit. And there's a chase, like I said, so your wires can chase down or up on both sides. This is what the unit looks like in a close-up. So there's your 16 RJ connectors for Cat cable, connecting your 16 wires coming from your dome lights. This is your screw terminals for old style wiring. So in old style wiring, you have 3 conductors which are circulating from dome light to dome light. This is your power, plus, minus, and flash. And then you have that individual conductor that used to go back to an incandescent dome light or incandescent annunciator light. Those are all right here. You bring those in from the dome light and grab them right here. So they're not lighting a light with them anymore. Now what you're doing is the dome light is communicating down those individual conductors what's going on at each of those dome lights. This is where the TechWorks network hooks up. We're going to talk a lot more about that in the next presentation. This is where the data communication goes out to the annunciators from your dome lights, from your station hardware. This is how you set the address. So on this network, each of these boxes is one of 16. It's a rotary hex switch. So you set it to a specific address. If I have a station port that is unused, I have to tell the unit not to pay attention to it. So up here, I've got the supervision and configuration switches. The very first one is supervision. If that's turned on, I have to put these out of service if there's nothing plugged into them. Otherwise, it's going to sit here and blink at you and tell you that you've got a failed dome light. This is output for zone number 1. This is output for zone number 2. Here's your configuration or assignment switches. So there's 16 switches here, 1 switch for every one of your inputs. If I want to include one of these stations in a zone, I simply turn that dip switch on. Same thing for zone 2. And here's where you hook up your power. You got 2 choices. Here's where your power supply plugs in directly. And you've got screw terminals to go out to other devices if you need to, or go to a second power supply, take the power supply out to a second control module, I should say. Here's your power supply. There's your connector that plugs into your control module. This unit is 24 volts DC output, runs on 120 to 240 volts AC input, fully regulated, fully filtered, built-in surge suppression, and it comes with a wall mount bracket. So it's very easy to mount on the wall next to your control module. Each one of these is capable of powering up to 3 of the NCCM16 control modules. Let's briefly talk about the IMR. It is not part of the NC series system. However, it can be used and is used quite often as an accessory to create a lot more relevant information sharing amongst staff. You can have tablets, pocket pagers, text messaging. Every button in a system can have a unique text message associated with that button push. Custom text for each point and any phone, any carrier. It can also do digital signage, anything IP. So once you plug this IMR into your network, it can feed any Wi-Fi devices or any wired devices in your system. It can display on your PC screens to give you the ability to be a display or an admin terminal. All the connections are password protected, meaning if I log onto this screen, I use my unique login credentials, and that determines what I see and what I can do with the IMR. So for further information, we're available on our website 24/7, 365 at www.techworks-usa.com. Brochures for sales, specifications for architects and engineers, design quote assistance is always available. Just send us an email. Tell us what you got. Show us your blueprints. Technical assistance and training. These videos are available online along with our installation manuals and, of course, tech support. Thank you very much for joining us today. And now it's time to take a look at part 3, how to wire a system.